So who wants to go first? Because I was watching all of you. Who wants to know their improvements first? All right, so with Ace, Noah, can you also check that, so is that filming, yeah? Can you jump up here, Ace? So the problem Ace is having, so if he puts up his, is that he's pushing from his legs. So his toes are pointing outwards, and his main problem, so I'm going to find the main problems and fix it, is that when we're in close here, he will then, so stop me coming in, he will then push from his legs to try and generate some power. Which you can tell quite obviously because of the toes pointing out and then a pressiness. You can see the muscles even activating. So and he's got strong legs too. So it probably is why he's using them. Noah, can you let whoever's in there in? So the fix for that. So if you go and do that to me, right, and you push with your, like, so you kind of start to press with your legs towards me, yeah? And try to walk me back and push me back. Yeah, that problem there allows me to then further attack you from your legs, yeah, because of the tension in the legs, right? Now, so what Ace needs to do is firstly, the first thing he wants to do is rather than pushing off the floor is placing and moving from his center. So if you think of it in terms of state, centering is his kind of priority now. So if you go earth to crown, and now rather than pushing with your legs, you think of your center moving. So I don't even think you need to worry about placing quite yet, that's a bit early. Just think about your spine moving towards me as opposed to pressing from your legs. So make your shapes on, yeah. And now walk your spine to me. See how naturally you want to push with your feet? Can you feel that? Yeah. So the way you walk in the street. When you walk in the street, you don't push off the floor. No. Do you know what I mean? But here, because you're dealing with mass, you're pushing off the floor to get them away. But if you're just walking towards me naturally, just walk, like that, yeah? Yeah. Now, put your hands up, okay. Yeah? And now walk. Yeah, so it's more, yes, there's a little bit of it started going left and right, but that's fine. It's more like this. So feel the difference. Rather than me pushing at you with my legs, I let my center walk towards you, yeah? That allows me to utilize my body mass precisely to your center. So that's your main problem, yeah? So do it wrong, push from your legs, and figure how it feels, yeah? Yeah. Now, walk, yes, that's right, you feel the tension, good. Now, spine tall, walk your center to me, just like you're walking in the street. No, not that. Yeah, you're still doing this? Yeah, so drop your arms. Yeah, just be a normal guy that walks in the street. Yeah, like that. Just be a normal guy, all right? No stands. Yeah, so good. Now just walk like you're, yes, this is better. Yeah, better. Now keep your hands pointed at me. Yeah, this is already better. So this is the direction I want you to go with it. Because if you keep pushing with your legs, push with your legs again, push with your legs again, push. Yeah. So I can move you from the legs. You're going to be attackable from your legs. We don't want that, yeah? Now, stop pushing from your legs. Just soften the legs, aim your spine at me, yeah? Yeah, that's better. Already feel how I can't take you anymore because you're not giving me that tension. Make sense? Yeah. Don't push from your legs. Okay. Simple as that. All right, cool. Keep that in mind. Yeah, all right. Daniel-san's problem is that your structure's not connected. So I'll show you what I mean. When you're doing your sparring, you do stuff like this, and your body's all, the whole structure needs unification. So your problem is more sensing, right? Meaning you got to sense your whole body from feet to hands. But I think what's going to be useful for you is because as your structure gets separated, you end up straightening your legs like this. Yeah. Yeah, so what I'm going to suggest is that you actually open the knees forward. Not sink your weight down like this. I want you to open your knees forward. And as you open your knees forward, I want you to sense your shoulders as well, so that you get this whole frame connected. Now look, an important piece of that is Tai Gong, right? So if you can keep your knees aimed at me and then Tai Gong, yeah, so that when I press, yeah, I want you to feel like a whole structure. You look like you're disconnected, and it's quite easy for your shapes to be opened up, right? So the primary for Daniel is sensing everything. So first thing is sense everything, yeah? Second thing is keep the knees aimed at me, yeah. So keep the hands aimed at me as well. So sense everything, knees aimed. Now feel how I put pressure and feel how your whole structure's taking this, yeah. This is the feeling you're trying to keep as you move. Whereas the moment you're breaking it all up, and then someone will strike through, and you'll just use one limb, and then now once again the whole structure's broken. Yep. So sense your whole structure. Keep the knees springy and aimed forward. Yeah, here. Feel how this is much more difficult to get through because now I'm pressing on the whole frame. Feel the difference?
Yeah.
So number one thing, sensing everything. Use the aiming of the knees forward as a trigger. Yes, Taigong, if you can remember that too, but bit by bit, right? Just sense your whole structure, aim the knees forward. Cool? Cool.
Thank you.
Bro, you? We already spoke about yours, but I actually was thinking about it and I was trying to feel into it. So we already spoke about Kenton's. Kenton's actually really good. His state's coming out. You know what I realized would be a good thing for you? Is get the good feeling in your center, right? And just sense your hands. Just sense yeah, there. You feel that? Because the problem Kenton was having was that sometimes when we were rolling, his shapes weren't complete. So even though his center was quite good, his hand would perhaps flop off to the side, like what you said, Susanna told you about. But I was thinking about it and I started feeling it myself. I reckon you can just center in your intention and just sense your hands. You feel how that connects? Yeah. So I think this is the shortcut for him. He's at a much better level than you guys, so he's already working just with the internals. How long have you been training?
10, 12 years?
12 years, so yeah, 12 years, so a little bit. Yeah, so the problem Kenton was having was that sometimes his structures were slightly off, and because his hands were asleep, that lack of finishing of the shape allowed there to be a weakness in the structure. Qigong would say, make your shapes beautiful first, right? He would always say, make your shapes beautiful first. So Kenton, just by making his shapes beautiful, but further for him, because his internals are already quite good, he can just center in his good feeling center and then sense his hands. And as he senses, yeah, you feel how it flows straight through the hands. Now I feel he's already attacking me energetically. We did speak earlier about some other pieces, but I think that's going to be a huge one for you. So if you can just throughout your daily life go, okay, center and sense my hands and feet, I think that's going to connect up these lines powerfully. And then the next piece is just placing of the center. I think that's going to, yeah, cool. Awesome, thank you. And now, last one.
When you're defending, I'm not carrying or like...
You or Noah?
Or in that, well, for everyone, but like in that specific situation. When you said...
Sure, there's two things active, so I see what you're aiming at. You want your body to be able to absorb pressure, and that's activated via centering and sensing, meaning you sense your whole structure so pressure can be absorbed through. So sensing activates absorption. But ultimately, you don't want to absorb. Ultimately, you want to rebound. The rebound happens from the further pieces of state. So when you center and sense, rebound's activated. And that's the kind of the first stage after muscular strength. So muscular strength is the beginner's strength, right? They come, they're muscling, they're using force. The next level of Wing Chun is structural strength, which is the unification of your structure and your ability to absorb pressure. So on the scales will go higher if someone pushes on you. The top level is Bei Fan Lei, or to give back, to rebound. And that's when you start to expand the energy in the center. So the Nim Tao, the intent, expands the energy through your system. So, and you do that, number one, through the intent of being aligned with a higher level of consciousness, peace, joy, love, power, good feeling, whatever. That means the energy is expanding. Then you further use sensing, moving, and visual to expand it into your system, which will then rebound. Noah was lacking the sense of expansion in the upper part of his spine. So he was more just absorbing it into his stance, which it feels like, you know, he's not that big, but you feel he can take in a lot of pressure. But he should be thinking more about the spine expanding open and targeting it back, as opposed to just drawing it in and then sending it back from the center, from his center of mass. It should be the whole center does it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Good. Any other questions or observations? Yeah, I was playing around with I was watching you and I was seeing how sometimes your hands come off, and that's when, I know it's rare, but people were getting through it, and that's usually when the times your hands would come off. So I was thinking, okay, what would solve that problem? And it feels like I started just playing with it in my system. Center, hands, that just kept coming. And every time I did that, I felt the connection from the center to the hands, and that activated my whole shape. So that's, you feel it? Yeah, I think that's going to be huge for you, actually, combined with the other pieces we were talking about. Yeah. Good. Alrighty, what else we got, team? Anyone online got any questions? Good to see you all. Who's winning? We got, oh, Team America's winning, 4 Americanos. And then 2 for Team UK. Let's see, I knew I was American. Team America. Howdy, what do we got?
One question for me. Is
Yep.
there any pointers, like from this stance, how to get the memory to form a fist in time. Like I keep punching with the, like when fist is not fully formed, like I got used to this
Yep.
sort of stance, and then from here, it's sort of like coming like that.
Sure. I think, so maybe come here and
The best, like I keep hurting my fingers.
yeah, so the first thing is, show me the position. So the question was, how do I make sure I close my fist and not fuck my fingers up, right? Basically, yeah. So the first thing is you're too far out. Your firearm's too extended. I would suggest it's more closer to a 90-degree angle. Some Wing Chun systems teach long Tan Sao hand, long guard hand as well. I prefer more 90-degree angle because this structurally is much more powerful, but also in your muscular system. You have more strength and more structure at a 90-degree bend than at a fully extended arm or a fully closed arm. So this is what we call, Sifu Jim would teach this as the optimum angle. And I do feel this is a better angle for the guards. That's the first thing. Second thing, your hands should be perfect in their shape. So you want to think of your hands as a nice, perfect, flat palm like that, right? Like how you do it in the form, right? Like how you do it in the form. So you were doing this when you first did it, and then you corrected it, right? So that's the second thing. So that if you do get hit here, at least there's more than one finger connected to the other. You know that the analogy? I think there's like an Arabic analogy, right? When we have one stick, I can break it, but when I have 4 sticks, it's strong. Yeah. Anyway. The next point is that you just want to, firstly, not be so extended, and secondly, get used to closing to a fist. You just need to build the habit. I think the two parts of the problem were you were too far extended and spread, as opposed to closer back to you and together, and then closing to the fist as you come forward. So that should be your habit. As soon as it comes forward, it should be a fist, unless you're using it as a different type of strike. Yeah, because this isn't wrong either. It's just you don't want to be hitting a flat, strong target with your finger. So I think that'll fix most of the problem, having a correct shape and closer to you. Because if you're overextended, that has the problem of, okay, there's not much range for you to strike with now, and it also gives me something to play with you with. Yeah. Thank you. What else we got?
I notice a lot of us have difficulty having flexible, relaxed shoulders while also maintaining an attacking intention. So every time we want to loosen this up, this kind of collapse happens. What's the fastest way, or what's something to visualize that lets us both be relaxed in the shoulders and open and flexible in the shoulders, but also still attacking?
Yeah, sure. That actually comes back to the center. So that's a common problem Kenton's brought up. Okay, I want to attack, but as I go to attack, my shoulder tightens up, which then allows the person to attack me, right? So if I borrow you, for example, because you do this. So let's say we're in contact here and he's on like the bong south side, right? And then he goes to attack me, come to attack, but now he's tensed up. So now I can control him from that tension, right? Which is precisely the problem you're talking about. So the question becomes how do I use my shoulder girdle in a way that doesn't fight forward towards the other person? Now, in order to truly do this the fastest way, which was your question, you must center. There's no way around this. There could be a better way, but I haven't found it yet. Meaning, and the good thing is, because that was actually one of Ace's problems, and actually it's a human problem when it comes to Wing Chun, is that, and because remember we're saying he wants his center to move forward, he must Tai Gong and sense his center. He must be in here. And if you think about this from an energetic standpoint, right? Okay, we have a physical, emotional, and mental brains, right? If he is centered correctly, as he commands the release, meaning he senses and syncs from here, then that's the best way to potentiate the release. So, centering in your intention so that you're commanding from your physical, emotional, and mental as you sense and sync. So that as he reaches forward, this is being sunk from here. Whereas most people just kind of feel their shoulder and go, oh, that feels tense, and they just relax the shoulder, but then this collapses, right? Or they relax this and then they push and then they end up using their lats or their back muscles instead of, so they're just using different force. So to truly do this correctly, Ace has to Tai Gong, make his spine tall, get a good feeling, think about, What's your intention?
Joy.
Joy. So he puts joy in his center. As he has joy in his center, he senses and sinks his shoulder. Yeah, good. Yeah, and keep this up here. Yeah, and now reach towards me. Now reach towards me while you sense and sink. Reach towards me while you sense and sink. This comes towards me as you sense and sink. Reach, like you want to hit me. Yeah. 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 This is better. Yeah. So you feel how you're dealing with quite a bit of force now, and it's not as easy to draw him back. Yeah? So maybe I'll do it with you. You can do this very easily already, but just so you get the sense for it. If you do the traditional way of, okay, I'm coming forward and now I physically relax, right, and then you feel that collapses, obviously. Now the other option is that you come forward, you physically relax this, but then you support it with the back muscles. You feel like the back muscles are activating. Now instead of that, center in your intention, get that good feeling in the center, and now sense and sink through the whole upper body. Yeah, now you can do it. Feel that? And now, so that's really good. That's the right. That is the fastest way. But the thing is that people have to be open to understanding that. You know, sometimes you tell people, oh, you have an energetic system, you have a chi body, and they go, fuck off, woo woo, hippie. You know what I mean? So, but I think you're quite scientific in your explanation. So, with your students, I'm pretty sure you'd be able to communicate it in the best language for them.
Yeah, I think it varies depending on the person, like what their background is. Yeah.
How does that line up in your understanding as the fastest method?
I think it is. I think the hard part for me at the beginning was, how do I practice this at home? What indicator do I use that I'm actually doing this correctly versus I'm actually not doing correctly? I think that's the tough part, especially when you don't have a partner that can immediately provide the feedback.
Yeah.
That's the toughest part.
Gotcha.
I tell people use walls, like put pressure against walls, drop your back, feel it loosen up without you having to give anything up. Like in terms of the pressure that you're generating towards the wall.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and
I'm not sure that's the fastest.
No, yeah, well, I mean that's a good way if people want that physical feedback. But another one that I think people kind of overlook is Sulim Tao, meaning gravity and the positioning of your arm in relationship to your body will provide some form of resistance in your system. Just the extended Fuxao alone will get activity here, for example. And then what you can get them to do is you can get them to so this is actually a good training tool. You can actually get them to physically tighten up the shape and feel, okay, I'm tightening my arm up, yeah, and then, okay, now I'm gonna, good feeling in my center, and I'm gonna sink in good feel. And that good feeling seems to spread through the system. And then you go, oh, okay, wait, I did feel a release there. And that sense of relativity of, okay, holding with muscular tension, centering and sinking, starts to give them the reality of the experience. So I think Sulim Tao is another good way to practice it. But what you can do is you tell them, practice your Sulim Tao at a pace where you look like you're not moving. Because that will give them the real depth, if they have the patience for that, that'll give them the depth of experience that they're looking for. Because the slower you practice, the more you can feel the actual releasing of the muscular system under the conditions of intention and energy, meaning highest intention through the center, consciously sensing and sinking through the system. Make sense? So yeah, and that's where Qigong found it. That's where our Grandmaster found it, in practicing the form so slowly that everyone was laughing at him thinking that he wasn't moving, right? Yeah. But yeah, that's the fastest method I've found. Side note to that, an additional fast track is training people to perceive tension, both physical and emotional tension, in a grateful way. And you say, what do you mean grateful way? Fuck that. No one likes to be tense, no one likes to be upset. And this may seem stupid, but I promise you it works. Meaning, I spent a solid decade or more getting frustrated at tension in my body. Going, oh fuck, I'm tense. I must be shit. You know, like, yeah, and then your mind goes on these stories. But when I had the realization, which I learned from emotional release, that when you bring a sense of gratitude to an emotional tension, it allows you to let it go quicker. So I'd practiced that, and I got experience in that. I got experience in releasing negative emotions through looking at them from a grateful lens. But then when I applied that physically, that sped it up. So if Kenton and I are luxowing, right? And let's say he puts a bit of pressure on me and my muscles tense up, right? If I go, oh fuck, I'm tense, I feel like this is tense, I start getting tenser, right? Whereas if I can go, oh, I'm so grateful for this opportunity to release this, right? I feel it's so much easier to release and dissolve under pressure when I'm perceiving the tension as an opportunity to release that I'm grateful for, as opposed to something that I want to resist or fight against. So I don't want to fight my own tension, which makes more tension. I want to be grateful for it being there so I can dissolve it. So why does that work? Because gratitude calibrates at the level of joy. Joy is the level of 540, it's a high level. And I was just speaking to Kenton earlier, my master used to say, ho hoi sam. Like when I ask, like sometimes I ask, what does it feel like? He'd say, ho hoi sam, which means very happy. Sounds like joy to me, right? So that's, apart from the making sure you're centered in your intention and then applying the sensing and syncing, practicing Seal Lim Tao whilst doing so, is making that shift from getting frustrated with your own inattentions to being grateful for the opportunity to release it out of your system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. And I actually learned that from like emotional letting go techniques, not physical. So I learned it from a totally different field, so to speak. Yeah. Good. Alrighty. Did you guys find this helpful?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, because you know, what I normally do is I watch you guys and I go, okay, that looks shit, that looks shit, I'm kidding. And I say, okay, I'm gonna fix that, I wanna fix that, I wanna fix that. And then I craft the next session based on fixing all of those problems under one technique. So I try to deal with the group at once. But I feel if I do this and then I do that as well, I think we're gonna get even further jumps in our skill development. And that's the aim, you know. I want 10,000 people 10 times better than that guy up there, Cho Shung Tin, my master, next to the Peace, Love and Kung Fu sign. That's what he wanted. You like the idea?
I do like that.
Yeah, I like it too. I think he'd like it as well. That was literally his final wish. He said to us, I hope my final disciples, apprentices, find a faster and better way to teach this. Good. All right, we'll hold it there. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.